Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Car Boss.
Thank you, Taj. Good morning and namaskar to everybody.
Right, come on. Our first question for today is in a customer-centric industry like ours, what are the key challenges and are our CRM teams equipped with the necessary skills to overcome them?
But I think I'm very glad that we are discussing a topic which actually is very close to my heart, but at the same time, I feel something that is missed out in a larger part of our industry. See, ours is a very, very customer-centric business. In our industry, if you look at whether it is a sales operations or it is a service operations, you will find that we are directly in touch with the customers, which means there are no intermediaries. It is between the dealership staff and the customers. Now, in a scenario like that, basically what happens is it gives you an opportunity. It's also a threat. Opportunity in the sense that we have an opportunity to make sure the customers are happy with us, they're satisfied, they're delighted. The whole experience that they have when they visit our business locations, they go back with tremendous amount of good vibes and good feelings about us. Now that increases our business opportunities, whether it is sales or whether it is service. Now the threat happens is a corollary to this. Now, if they are not happy with what we're doing, they're unhappy. They found that we didn't take care of them. Then we didn't meet the expectations. Definitely, it's going to have the flip side. We're going to lose business. So it's a very challenging situation. We have the opportunity and we have the threat. Now, in this scenario, you will find that the CR team, the customer relations team in a dealership is a pivot. It is a pivot on which these fortunes actually shift, whether it's on the good side or on the wrong side. Now, we need to go into the details of how this whole CR teams are normally structured in a typical dealership. Of course, people have various kinds of teams, but typically what happens in a dealership is that you have a core CR team for sales, which are in the showrooms. They will have a support team, which is a back office team, which are there to, make calls to customers. They're not really meeting customers face to face. They get the feedbacks, make post-sales calls, service reminder calls. They make post-service calls, etc. So you have a core team in sales. You have a core team in after sales. Plus, they also have the support team, like I mentioned. This is normally the structure. Now, let's look at when you talk about the challenges that the CR team faces or the dealership faces. We need to understand what are the kind of operations that happens in a typical dealership. Let's look at the sales first. If you look at the sales, you have potential customers coming in. There are existing customers or people who are not yet taken delivery of car coming to discuss certain things. So you will have these kind of personal people who are coming into our show. Now, normally what I've seen is every potential customer, before he takes delivery of the car, he makes an average of 3 visits. First could be the one to come and see the car, see the features, probably take a test drive. The second visit would be to come and maybe give some documents, make some payments, or could be even to buy accessories or whatever. Those kind of follow-up activities. And the last one is to come and take delivery of the car. So there are 3 occasions that the same customer could be coming to the show. Now, what happens in a showroom is when you have this flow of customers coming in. I would call them customers, even though they might still not bought a car. When they come in, what are the expectations? The expectations are when they walk into a showroom, they should be, greeted, they should be met. Their, whatever the requirements are, understood and met. This is very simple. So yes. What do we like our CR team to do? CR team should be, meeting them, greeting them the moment they come in, make them comfortable, sit in a place, understand what they require, then find the right person to come and talk to them. Meanwhile, check out if they like to have some refreshments, have someone from the hospitality part of your dealership properly attired, properly trained, who come and give them a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. So this is what normally a customer expects. That's it. He is not expecting the moon. But we have to ask ourselves, do we meet these requirements or not? Which I'll come to back a little later. The second is the backup team in a show. What do? They have to make the calls to customers. Now, the challenge there is Are they able to make a connect with the customers? When they call the customers, do they pick up the phone? If they pick up the phone, do they make a conversation? Or they're very abrupt and says, look, I have no time now. Again, a challenge. Now let's go to the after sales. There, normally a customer comes, makes two visits. One to leave the car, other one is collect the car after service. Now here again, what happens is in the morning, the rush hours, a lot of customers come in to leave their cars. They all want to get back to work fast. So there is a lot of inflow of customers coming in. All that they require is someone to meet them, greet them, find out what kind of service that they're looking at, whom do they like to meet, any particular service advisor, make them comfortable in the lounge, offer them some refreshments, and tell them very clearly how much time will it take for them to be met by somebody. Nobody wants to be left in the lounge, not knowing how much time we'll have to wait here. So these are basically communication skills that we need to have to tell the customer, so you need to wait for 7 minutes before the next person will come and meet you. They're okay with that. Yeah. So again, it's all about meeting their expectations. Now, if you look at the service, the support team, it's about making service reminder calls. Now, very often when you make about 100 calls, you may be able to speak to about 60 customers, telling them about a reminder for their next service. Out of the 60 customers you are finally able to make a conversation with, how many of them say, look, I will come and get the car service on a particular day? They may not even give you an appointment just because of the fact there was no proper connect between the person who made the call and the customer, or they didn't feel very happy about the conversation. So you see, again, it's a challenge. So overall, if you see, the challenges are very simple. All because of the fact that we are not equipped to handle these challenges in the way it is supposed to be done. We are in a situation where customers are not delighted. This is the problem. Now, this is a major problem. Like I said, it's an opportunity or a threat. If you don't meet the customer expectation, your business will definitely go down. You find it is not only your current business, your future business also gets suffered because somebody is going to badmouth. And today in this world of social media, it's so fast that the messages go wrong. The bad reports go back, the reviews goes back, and then you will have. Now, I think what is important is to, understand how to correct these challenges. And I will want to just relate to you an incident which happened some days ago when I was in a particular dealership in a showroom. And I was watching a lot of flow of customers coming in. And it was so surprising. There was two people two ladies there who I presume they were from the customer relations team. They were busy doing their own stuff. There were people walking in, going inside, and I was watching who is attending to them. I said, this is a classic case of, an opportunity being, lost by, not attending. So I think this is a very serious issue and it needs a long-term fix. So I think the challenges are there. And in my opinion, I'm being very frank, knowing that the quality of staff that we have, the teams that we have, I don't think we are competent to handle these challenges. And that is the reason that today, I think it's not only the dealerships that suffer, there are even the OEMs who suffer. And I don't want to take the names, but I know of two brands in Bangalore who really, really suffered simply because the quality of the dealerships were very, very poor. Right. That those particular brands are doing very well elsewhere, but in Bangalore, they were not doing well simply because the dealerships didn't have the right quality of manpower, especially on the customer. I'm not saying the others are good, but the fact was the overall quality of the dealership actually affects the brand equity. True. So I think it's a very serious matter which needs a lot of introspection, needs a lot of thoughts and focus on it. So to be very simple, to put it very short, is that our CR teams are not competent to handle the challenges in a dealership.
Yeah. So what do you think are the exact deficiency within CRM teams, and what strategies can be implemented to rectify them effectively?
So I think first is whenever there's a customer complaint, everyone is rattled. There are a lot of discussions happens, and everybody looks for a quick fix. And quick fix is what? Please the customer by whatever means. Whether you give a discount, give something free. These are all what I call short-term fixes. Nobody looks at the long term. The long-term fix is to prevent complaints. That's the most important. And I mean, I must again narrate something that I came across. This was some years ago, where one particular brand was not doing well. The sales were, slipping. So somebody, I'm sure they would have done their own brainstorming in their teams, and came out with this very brilliant idea, brilliant in their, view, but not in my view. The view was that we must now create a super duper customer relations manager, and a very fancy designation was given. They called this person as guest experience manager, GEM. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now, yeah, so this is an addition to all the existing stuff. One more, a super, CRM, and a new processes were written. The process same, repackaged in a different way. It's nothing new. The processes that you follow in a customer relations, discharge of duties is the same. So you can repackage, do it the different ways, etc. And added more cost to the dealership because the GEM, a senior person with so many years of experience, etc. So they paid more money. To come to the conclusion, after a few years, not in a few years, I think when I saw this happening, and I think after a few months, that particular brand wound up in India. I don't want to say it happened because of this, but the fact was there is a problem. You're trying to find a quick fix. The problem was not lying in the creation of a gem. It was something else. Similarly, I know of brands which say, oh, when a customer walks in, they must be walking onto a table where there are very, very, what do you call, very brand, very special brands of mineral water to be kept, some special brands of cookies to be kept on the table. Now, I don't think that's going to enthrall a customer, because what a customer actually requires is when they come in, they're met, they're greeted by someone who is very polite, etc. And someone really asking them, what would you like to have? Can I offer you something? Rather than kept something on the table. I mean, I wouldn't feel very comfortable going and picking up something lying on the table and eating it. I don't think that's going to add to your value. True. So I think these are all quick fixes which doesn't go in the long way to address the core issue. The core issue is, are we competent? We are not. To me, the problem lies in the quality of manpower that we have in the CR department, period. There is everything starts from there. The quality of manpower that we have is very, very important. Now, why does it happen? The problem goes back to what dealerships are today offering in terms of salary package. In Bangalore, I'm told people pay 13, 14, 15,000 rupees for a fresher as a customer relations executive. Now, for that kind of salary, whom are you going to get? Are you going to get some people who are qualified or some people with good qualities that you require? You're not. You're definitely not going to get. So I think that's the starting point. If you don't address this issue, then the next step is obviously not there. So I would recommend that we need to look at paying the CR executive who is a starter, a fresher, at least 25,000 rupees, like we said for the sales consultants and for the service advisors. 25,000 rupees should be the benchmark, nothing less than that. More is fine. So I think we have to treat them as people who are very, very important to the organization. So that is the salary that has to be. The second is the quality of selection or the process of selection, how robust it is. Today, what happens in dealerships, the CR executives are taken by a very low junior functionary in the HR department who will say, okay, we got a lady here, we'll just put her onto CR. There is no real selection processes taking place. Now, what are you looking at when you take a fresher? What are the qualities which are, imperative for a good CR executive? In my opinion, in my understanding, the first and the foremost is a person with a good, charming personality. Very, very important. Because you are meeting a customer. You need someone who is not rough, someone who is quite, well-cultured, pleasant to deal with, good personality, well-groomed. These are fundamentals of a customer relations. So that is the first. The second is the communication skill. Someone who is able to speak well, who's got a modulated voice, not a voice that irritates you, is very important because you don't want to talk to someone who's got a very jarring voice. Someone who's very pleasant. Yeah. You don't want to be talking to someone who is so unpleasant, who is grouchy looking. No, you need someone with a warm smile, with a very pleasant disposition. Very, very important. The next thing is about energy levels. You need someone who is sprightly, who is able to move around, who has got a lot of go in that person. The next part is very important is in terms of someone who can, patience, who can listen to people, who can handle a situation where, even the customer is agitated, they keep their calm, don't get rattled by it, but able to handle it. Now, you will ask me, is it possible during an interview to, sort of find these qualities or be able to discern it?
Right.
My point is, if you are a person who is well experienced in taking interviews, you can to quite an extent. When you sit and talk, it's not going to be a 2-minute interview. It's going to be maybe a half an hour interview. You talk. So during the course of that conversation that you have, you will definitely find these qualities coming up, which you can probably understand and say, okay, this person, very pleasant, very nice to talk to, very pleasing personality, not a person who is, in languages which are not very pleasant, etc. So I think you need to do this during this course of interview, find out these qualities. These qualities are very, very important. You cannot dispense with. The last but not the least, this is a quality which I don't know whether you can really make it out during an interview, is what I call the ownership. When I say ownership of an issue is, if there is a problem with the customer, the CR executive should be able to say, look, I will make sure this problem is resolved. I'm not going to pass the buck to somebody. This is a thing that I consider very important to my dealership. This is as good as my own problem, my personal problem. I'm going to sort it out. So this ownership is very important, because whenever a customer makes a complaint, if the CR executive feels or takes ownership of that problem, then it gets resolved. But if you say, look, I'll pass it on to somebody else, I'll talk to my seniors, etc., and I think your role involvement reduces. So very important for a CR executive to take ownership of the issue. So these are the few qualities, good personality, good grooming, good communication skills, very high energy levels, taking ownership, calm and composed. Now, if you can get a person of this, and you will find, not that if you take 10 people, all the 10 are going to be that. Maybe in 10 people, you'll get 3 out of them who will fit this. But it's important that you take people with the right qualities, because remember, you can't fix a square peg in a round hole. You are taking somebody and trying to fix into a job, it doesn't work. And in the case of CR, it is disastrous to have the wrong person. I can tell you this. Better not to have a person than having the wrong person. So very important in terms of selecting the right person. So we have fixed the salary, we selected the person. Now, many times what happens in dealership, oh, you have taken somebody, put her on to the job. No training. Now, imagine someone going, not knowing what to do, and they're going to pick up whatever they need to do from the seniors. Now, God forbid you have seniors who are actually not good in their job, they're going to pick up wrong stuff. First and foremost, if you have an environment of poor quality, low caliber people, getting a fresher is also not good, because it's detrimental, because that person also going to learn wrong stuff. So very important to sort of, make sure that your organization have got good people at the senior levels. That's very important. So you need to put this pressure for training. And this training, I would recommend is for 2 weeks, not very long time. This 2 weeks is really worth it. And everyone goes through the training, meaning the sales front line, sales backup, service front line, service backup. And I also want to just do something that I missed out, is remember, when you select the back office team for both sales and service, the qualities that we talked about for the front line, the same thing applies to them too. Because I always look at a situation where you have somebody at the back office who can come and also handle the front office. This is very important in a dealership, because it gives you, that multitasking leverage. And sometimes it is needed to. So don't look at different qualities for people at the back office. They must be of the same quality and paid the same salary. Now, the training part. What are we going to train them on? Or first, let's look at who is going to train them. In the case of the sales team, the training is done by the sales trainer. You need to co-opt a senior lady from maybe your HR department, or from your sales, or from your CR team, because you need that person to do certain kind of grooming skills to the ladies, which probably a sales trainer will not be able to. So you have the sales trainer plus a co-opted member. That is for the sales team. Now, what are the training that you do? Training in terms of 3 aspects. One is soft skills. Very, very important. A lot of attention has to be given to this in terms of the dressing, in terms of the grooming, the kind of speaking to customers, the way they greet, the way they make telephone conversations, the way they stand and talk. All this must be done, because This is going to be one which is going to decide whether the customer is happy in the place and talking to somebody. So soft skills training has to be the first. The second part of the training for the sales team, sales CR team, is on the product. Now you'll say, what does the CR team go to do?
Yes.
Now imagine somebody in the front office, a customer walks in and nobody else is there. There are no sales concern available. Customer says, I'm looking for one particular car. This the CR team can't say, so I'm sorry, nobody's there, you will have to wait or come another day. No, you must have the basic wherewithals to take the customer, show the car, explain the features, basic stuff. This is very important. You can't be sitting in a showroom not knowing the car. Somebody asks, okay, even a variant, you don't know, sir, what car is this? No, that training is very important. We are not going to get into real deep details, but enough to make a CR executive able to explain a car, for a short duration time till the time somebody senior or somebody more competent comes to help us.
Yeah.
This is very important. This training must be done because you can't be, unaware or ignorant of the products that is, around you. So this is a second, the product. Yeah, workplace.
Yeah.
The third part of this training is basically processes. That means they must know how a booking is taken, what are the documents they collected for, sales, what are the kind of documents required for registering the car, how is the car delivery done. These kind of processes are very important because that will make them aware when a customer makes a call to them and says, look, what are the documents that I need to get for registration? Or they ask, how much time will it take to fix this kind of accessories? These are things they must know. Now, this whole training is just for 2 weeks. It doesn't take away any kind of your, productive time. In fact, it's going to improve your productivity post the training. So this is a training that must be done for the sales team, sales CR team, frontline, and the backup team. For the service, the same way. Again, the soft skill training, very, very important. To be done by the sales trainer. We have the ops trainer for service, plus a lady to help in the grooming aspects of the personnel. The second part is a product. Now, it's very important here. It's a little different from what you train for a salesperson. Many times what happens, a customer comes in and the CR person meets the customer, asks, sir, what's the problem? He says, no, I have my car is pulling to one side. Oh, car is pulling to one side. Now, this lady is completely foxed. Now they need to know basic thing because basic complaints, there is a problem with my steering, car is pulling to one side, or I'm hearing a lot of, noise in my suspension. Small issues where, you can probably make some intelligent conversation with the customer. It's very important.
True.
So I think they need to go spend some time, understanding basic complaints, show them the car. There are many, I can bet this. There are many CR executives in after sales in the service, centers who would have not even gone into the workshop.
Yes.
They only stay in the front office, meet customers. No, you need to know the product. You need to do some basic stuff when customers talk. These are very, very important, and this must be done. It's not that, we know that they may not be technical, they don't understand the technical stuff. It's not required. It's basic, layman's knowledge. That must be given. Plus the process. The process in service would be in terms of how do you receive a car, how do you, take down customer complaints, how do you make delivery of the car, a few issues on other related stuff, like customer wants to know how is the warranty claim done, or they want to buy, take an insurance or a roadside assistance, or whatever. No, these are things that they must. All this training is for 2 weeks. Now, I can tell you one thing, that if you select the right person with that salary that we talked about and get this training done, you will have a person fit enough to meet the challenges that we do. So that is where you need, this is a corrective action. It is not about giving the customer an exotic, mineral water or cookies. This is the thing. Quality of manpower, train them. Get the right person, train them.
True. Because also I think, Kamada, when we spoke about the CRM team having basic conversation knowledge with the customer, this also adds to the image and credibility of the dealership. Customers also understand that, they have people in the dealership that actually know stuff rather than just talking to them. And also, when I think dealer principals understand that a CRM team is not just answering calls or just greeting people, but can do much more than their role. And as you said, they have to be multifaceted. They can also be in the front line, from time to time. They all have to be well groomed. Then probably that cost factor might make sense to the dealer principal to say, they're just not people who are going to answer calls, but there's much more that they can do in their respective roles.
No, I agree with you 100%. In fact, in my experience, I found that some of the CR executives became the best sales consultants.
Exactly.
We had always looked at people from the CR team to be elevated to become sales consultant. And they did amazingly well because their soft skills are excellent. Their knowledge of processes are very good. They know how to deal with customers because they see so many of them so often.
Yeah.
So
After
we
job is
found
done.
that. So I think, yeah, definitely. So I think it makes what you said is absolutely true. We have to look at differently.
True. So, Kamal, the last question for the customer relationship management subject is, what advantages do dealerships experience from having proficient CRM team in place?
Yeah, I think I'm not very surprised by your question, because if you are going to spend money paying them a higher salary, put them to training, etc., what do I get out of that? Yes, why not? Even though I always say that these are more of investments than expense. It is always an investment on the right people. Now, I would just think that I really can't put a fix, but in my assessment, if you have a good, competent CR team, both sales and service, it would improve your business by about 5%. This is a very conservative. It could be more, it could be less, but I would think 5% is what we expect. So if in sales, a 5% increase in sales. If it is service, a 5% increase in revenues. This is what I would just think that you can always expect out of, putting the right people there. But you really can't put a fix on it, but this is what. No, I remember that in the dealership that I was associated with, we used to do so many things that makes customers more enlightened or more what do you call delighted. Like when they're coming and sitting in the service center, instead of waiting for the car to get ready, they got a small issue. They came, maybe take over an hour or 2 hours. They were taken around, shown the place, the service centers, how wheel alignment is done, how wheel balancing is done, how painting is done, chipping is done, and denting work is done, etc. Customers get very delighted to see this, and of course we had a very, very, very well-run service centers, quality manpower, well attired, good work practices, etc. So these are things that add value to the dealership. So it's not only just that 5% in terms of sales and service revenues, but also overall, the impression that the customer carries with him when he comes to one of our places. Now, coming to the question that you asked about what else, what the core benefits you get out of that. See, I would look at these teams as what I call force multipliers. What are force multipliers? Now, to make you understand as what this is, I will take an analogy from the armed forces. Now, in the Air Force, we have fighter aircraft. Now, these fighter aircraft normally have a range, depending upon the fuel carrying capacity. So they'll have a range of, say, 2,000 kilometers, 2,500 kilometers, etc. Different aircraft have different ranges, which means that they can carry out a mission maximum to that distance so that they can safely return before running out of fuel. That's basically this operational limits of this fighter aircraft.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make this fighter aircraft go further than their ranges? So what modern air forces do is they have what they call fuel tankers, aircraft which are actually tankers. They go and carry out refueling of these fighters in flight.
Yeah,
midair,
yes.
Their refueling is done.
Yes.
Now, by doing that, you are able to push the limits to which this fighter aircraft can go. From 2,000, maybe they go to 3,000. No, this is what you call force multiplier. The tanker is a force multiplier.
I love this.
So
analogy.
I would use.
I love this analogy. I said, very nice.
Okay, so basically, Basically, what you're saying, that force multiplier, I would use the same term to describe our customer care teams, because they are basically enhancing, the operational or productivity or the outcome of the sales team or the service teams. But by making sure that if a customer is happy, now you look at a situation where a customer comes into a showroom, taken well care of, shown the car around. By the time the sales consultant comes, the customer is already a delighted person, says, wow, I've come to a right place. This is the place I want to buy a car from. The job of converting the customer to buy the car for the sales consultant becomes that much easier.
Easy.
Because they have, like a catalyst. The same thing that happens in the service center. That when a customer comes in, they are taken good care of by the customer care team. He feels, look, I've come to the right place. These people are definitely going to handle my issues. They will do a good job. Even if there is a minor issues, I know that these guys are going to take care. So you see the kind of, force multiplier effect that comes in by having a good team. So in terms of putting a fix on the amount, it's very difficult. Like I said, 5% could be a very conservative, figure in terms of sales and in terms of revenues. But I think more than anything else, this is going to enhance your business. If you have complaints, it is not only that you are having a complaint with the current customer, this is going to aggravate and also affect your future business. So we must be very conscious of the fact that the customer care team is a pivot on which our future businesses depend. If you don't have the right team, then you are definitely going to, you're going to be undermined by not having the right team. So I think the right team has to be there, and I think the benefits will come in. So I would just think that we need to change the way that we look at the entire operations of the customer care team, from the point of selection to the point of training and point of implementation. I think if this is done, you will find that we have an excellent team which is going to add to the overall productivity of the dealership.
Thank you, Commander. That was wonderful as usual. Brilliant conversation today. We will see you again in the next episode with a new subject. Thank you so much.
Thank you and namaskar.